telling you guys, the takeover is here. Caitlin Clark, brand new commercial, fire. Brand new commercial, fire. She is working off the floor. Booked and busy. Y'all keep talking about who's doing this and who's doing that. Nobody doing it bigger than CC right now.
Caitlin Clark is making headlines again. Mark just released another commercial with Dick's Sporting Goods, and the internet is going wild over her preparations for next season. Her off-season hustle seems even more intense than when she was actually playing, sparking discussions about major endorsement deals, the debate between rest versus grind culture, and whether she's about to come back even stronger and more dominant. However, some people are not happy about the huge attention gap Caitlin continues to receive. So, what's your take? Should athletes focus on taking rest to recover, or should they push to maximize their earning potential during the off-season? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let's take a closer look at how Caitlin Clark's offseason has become its own full-blown show. Apparently, taking time off isn't really an option when you're considered the most marketable player in women's basketball. She recently released another commercial, this time for Dick's Sporting Goods, and while fans are excited about her upcoming season, it's also raising some serious questions. Many wonder if she's actually getting the rest she needs after the intense grind of last year. The ad features her working out on what appears to be a high school court, possibly symbolizing her starting point or journey. It's beautifully shot, with all the high-quality production you'd expect from a major brand partnership. But here's the thing, this isn't just a random promotional piece. It's part of a larger pattern where Caitlin's off-season is just as packed with obligations as her playing season was. We're talking about photo shoots, commercials, brand endorsements, appearances, and countless promotional events filling her schedule. People are genuinely wondering, when is she supposed to rest and recover? Last season, she was physically worn down, even suffering an ear injury that affected her performance late in the year. Everyone agreed she needed this off-season to rehab properly and come back stronger, but instead, it seems like she's swapped basketball games for endless commercial shoots and promotional commitments.
Stuff and rehabbing and training. You think she's not getting ready to humiliate these ladies on the floor next year? They got away with one this year. They got away with it this year.
The crazy part is that it doesn't seem like Caitlin Clark will get much rest next season either. Ironically, last year she was heavily criticized for never taking a break. Reports detailed how she would be in New York for promotional events, and instead of relaxing, she'd bring a trainer and work out for hours on end. While her relentless work ethic is impressive and shows incredible dedication, it also raises concerns. Rest is essential for maintaining long-term performance and avoiding injuries. The body needs time to recover, and the mind needs a break from constant pressure. Burnout is a real danger, even for the most driven athletes. Continuously pushing without proper rest can lead to fatigue, injuries, and a decline in performance down the line. Balancing hard work with adequate recovery is crucial, and right now it's unclear if Caitlin is getting that necessary downtime to stay healthy and at her best.
And if you thought this was going to be a nice, calm off-season for her, it does not seem to be the case. It does not seem to be the case that this is going to be a calm off-season off the court, because it genuinely seems like it is. It's equally as busy as last year.
And get this. The 8-month off-season in the WNBA is actually a huge luxury compared to what Caitlin faced in college. Back then, she might only get 3 or 4 months off before jumping right back into intense training and games. In college, the level of competition allowed players to coast through non-conference games and gradually build up to full game shape. Iowa could often relax during early season matchups, so Caitlin didn't have to go all out every night. But in the pros, there's no such luxury. You're facing players like Ryan Howard, who press full court from Game 2, and Natasha Cloud, whose defense is relentless from the start. There's no easing into the season. Every game demands full intensity. That's exactly why her 8-month break should be used for true recovery, instead of filling every week with promotional events and commitments. Rest and recovery are vital for sustained performance at the highest level.
Obviously, it was a massive bummer when Caitlin Clark missed as much of the season as she did. It still feels like a massive bummer. I think that image of her with the towel over her head is entrenched in the minds of many. Just sadness, right? It's like the end of Empire Strikes Back or something. But after that, you need Return of the Jedi. And one thing I've been thinking about and seeing a little bit when it comes to the campaigns that have rolled out around Caitlin are how they could really coincide with the comeback.
Let's talk about the commercial itself. It's really well crafted, showing Caitlin grinding away in what appears to be a very authentic gym environment. It certainly doesn't look like some overly polished studio shoot. The Caitlin's Court branding suggests that Dick's Sporting Goods is aiming to build a narrative around her personal journey and her deep-rooted connection to basketball at its purest grassroots level. And honestly, that's brilliant marketing because it resonates with her broad audience. Despite being one of the most talented players globally, Caitlin isn't portrayed as some untouchable superstar. She's shown putting in the work just like the everyday kids watching at home, which makes her relatable and inspiring. However, a key question behind the scenes is how much Caitlin is truly prioritizing her physical recovery. She's constantly seen at promotional events, shooting commercials, maintaining a massive social media presence, and fulfilling numerous endorsement obligations. While all this is fantastic for her brand and bank account, it raises concerns about her physical and mental health. Athletes in other major sports often take genuine vacations and step away from the limelight during their off seasons because they understand that recovery isn't just physical, it's mental too. Continuous exposure and relentless activity without proper downtime can lead to burnout and injury, no matter how talented or dedicated an athlete is. Financially, the stakes are high. Caitlin is earning an extraordinary amount from endorsements, especially compared to her WNBA salary. Her Nike deal alone is worth more than several years of her playing contract. When Dick's Sporting Goods offers another commercial opportunity, turning down that lucrative check becomes incredibly difficult. Her professional career might only last 10 to 15 years if she remains healthy and performs at an elite level. From a business standpoint, maximizing earnings during this limited window makes perfect sense, even if it means risking some on-court performance. Criticism that Caitlin should spend more time in the gym seems misguided. Last season proved she was working out too much, not too little. She relentlessly trained, often without proper breaks, pushing her body beyond sustainable limits through an entire season and playoffs. Rest and recovery are crucial, not just for physical health, but for mental well-being. It's important that she finds a balance to sustain her career and health in the long run. Stories about Caitlin bringing trainers to New York for hours-long workouts when she was supposed to be doing promotional appearances really highlight her intense mindset. It's clear she struggles to switch off, and that relentless drive has helped her become an incredible player, but it might also be what limits her longevity if she doesn't learn to balance that work ethic with genuine recovery. Comparing this to her college days at Iowa is key. Back then, she could get away with that approach because the competition level was different, and the shorter season meant she didn't need to be in peak shape all the time. Now, in the WNBA, it's a whole different story. 34 regular season games plus playoffs against the best players in the world, many of whom are older and more experienced at managing their bodies over long seasons. Caitlin is learning this lesson the hard way. Hopefully, this offseason provides her with the opportunity to adopt better recovery strategies. It's astonishing that we haven't seen a fully healthy Caitlin since September 2024. The last time she played at full strength, she was dropping 27-point triple-doubles against the Sparks and scoring 25 points against Connecticut, practically carrying her team into the playoffs. That version of Caitlin Clark is what everyone wants to see again. But it won't happen unless she allows her body to rest and heal properly. The upcoming Team USA opportunity is huge, her first chance in almost a year to showcase her full skills in a competitive 5-on-5 setting and at full health. It's a critical step toward getting back to that peak form and proving she can sustain her greatness over the long haul. But that's assuming she actually uses this offseason to get healthy, rather than overextending herself with even more promotional commitments. If she steps into Team USA camp still dealing with lingering issues from last season, that would be a serious concern. However, if she takes the necessary time to recover and arrives at full strength, the basketball world will once again see why she's been the most talked about player in women's basketball for the past 3 years. This Dick's Sporting Goods commercial is also fascinating from a marketing perspective because it keeps Caitlyn relevant during the off-season when the WNBA isn't in season. Most WNBA players tend to fade from public consciousness between October and May, but Caitlyn maintains high visibility through partnerships like this. That's immensely valuable for her personal brand and for the league, as it keeps fans engaged and thinking about women's basketball even when there are no games. Yet, there's a real risk that constant visibility could come at the expense of proper rest and recovery. The most incredible part of all this is that Caitlyn Clark has already exceeded her own wildest dreams. She wasn't recruited by UConn, and early in her career, she didn't even get many Team USA opportunities. Many doubted whether her game would translate to the professional level. Now, she's the most marketable player in women's basketball, with endorsement deals that far surpass those of her peers. She's revolutionized the conversation around the WNBA and brought mainstream attention to women's basketball in ways never seen before. That's already an incredible success story, surpassing what most athletes ever achieve. But success also brings its own set of pressures. Now that she's reached this extraordinary level, there are enormous expectations for her to maintain it. Brands are eager to feature her in commercials because she drives sales and draws massive attention. The Fever rely on her to be their franchise star and to keep ticket sales high. Fans want to see her dominate on the court, break records, and continue elevating the game. All these competing interests make taking time off seem almost impossible, even though rest and recovery are crucial. Learning to say no and prioritize her health will be one of the biggest challenges she faces in her career. The recent coaching change with the Fever might actually work in her favor. New coaches often bring fresh perspectives on managing workloads and emphasizing rest. If the new staff understands how much Caitlyn was overworked last season, they could implement better load management strategies, such as limiting minutes during certain stretches, scheduling more strategic rest days, and closely monitoring her physical condition throughout the year. Sports organizations have become much smarter about player health in recent years, and hopefully the Fever are paying close attention. The response to her commercial clearly shows how invested fans are in Caitlyn's success. People aren't just excited about the advertisement itself, they see it as a reflection of her effort and preparation for the upcoming season. Fans are eager to see her return stronger than ever, ready to dominate the league and prove that last year's struggles were just growing pains, not limits to her potential. This kind of fan support is incredibly valuable, but it also brings immense pressure that can become overwhelming if not managed properly. Some players in the league might be watching all this attention and feeling frustrated. For example, Angel Reese had a solid rookie season with good numbers and endorsement deals, but her visibility and marketability are still far behind Caitlyn's. That's simply how sports marketing works. Caitlyn attracts more attention, sells more merchandise, and draws higher viewership than anyone else in the league. While it's not necessarily fair, it's the reality of the industry. The most marketable players tend to get the most opportunities, which can create disparities and sometimes breed resentment among teammates. Navigating this landscape requires a balance between individual ambition, team dynamics, and public perception. The debate over whether Caitlyn has earned enough money to retire comfortably is interesting, but it's likely a bit premature. While her endorsement deals have certainly brought her millions, it's important to remember that lifestyle inflation and taxes eat into those earnings. Even with a $10 million fortune, it's not as much as it sounds when planning for a future that could span 50 years or more beyond her basketball career. Caitlyn is undoubtedly financially secure, but unless she's extremely disciplined with her finances, she's not at a never-work-again level just yet. That's why it makes sense for her to continue maximizing her earnings during her playing days, despite the potential impact on her rest and recovery routines. This situation raises a broader question about what the offseason should look like for star WNBA players. Should they be working tirelessly year-round to boost their income and visibility, or should they prioritize rest to safeguard their health and career longevity? The answer probably lies somewhere in the middle, but finding that perfect balance is highly individual. A veteran player who's managed their body for years might be able to handle a different off-season routine than a player in her second season, still learning her limits. Caitlyn Clark's off-season regimen demonstrates that being the face of women's basketball means the work never truly stops. Ultimately, striking the right balance between earning potential and health preservation will be key to her long-term success. Managing to do both effectively could define her career moving forward. If you want to stay in the loop with all the behind-the-scenes happenings in women's basketball, don't forget to like and subscribe. We cover everything the mainstream media tends to overlook.